Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Legacy Series, a story of mankind's sojourns through history, describing one man's incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as 1,000,000 years, along with the blunders, the triumphs, the many worlds and places where those experiences took place. 5 episodes in the series, a million-year-old romance. You've got space battles, intrigue, interdimensional scientific and spiritual principles of life, today's false religious beliefs, other secrets exposed in detail, been described as a must-read for every truth seeker, a novel 30 years in the making. The Legacy series is written by Robert Maxxim, a frequent guest on the program. It's his incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as 1,000,000 years. As a child, Robert experienced several sleep-time visits to other worlds, witnessed countless alien craft. These experiences continue to date in both the wake and sleep states. He spent over 40 years studying science, religion, the science of life. He lives and works in Illinois in the field of information technology. And he's back with us to continue a fascinating series of discussions. Robert Maxxim, author of the critically acclaimed Legacy series. Robert, welcome back to the program. Always fun to have you with us.
Same here. Thank you.
We have got so much to talk about, and if you go to Robert's website, which is rgaetan, Gaetan.com, or our website, thisweekinamerica.us, you can send us questions that Robert will talk about in the program, and we've got a bunch of them for this month's program. Robert, let's get started. First one, how can your visions be used to help society and better our lives? An interesting question, and I'm sure there's some lessons there as well. How would you answer that?
Well, these visions were meant for my own spiritual evolution. You know, the human spirit can't help reaching out and sharing. We're all connected by energy and past associations, so what can help one person may help another, but never by force, though. Only upon request, and then much care must be exercised. So help to society must come from an individual's own initiative to want to sort out the truth. Everybody has to go through the cycle of discovery. And like the old adage says, men are best convinced by reasons that they themselves discover. So there's a lot to discover out there, and life is short. So best recommendation is, let's get out there and learn. Let's get out there and discover.
The discovery process, is that ongoing? Do you feel that you've discovered everything, or do you keep an open mind and you'll find maybe even several times a day, wow, I just discovered something different today?
In the infinite, you're never standing still. You're either moving in one direction or the other. There's no stagnant point. And that's the beautiful thing about eternity. It is infinite in learning and development. There is just no end to it.
Robert Gaetan, our guest, Robert Maxxim, our guest in the program. The website is rgaetan, Gaetan.com. You can also go to the website unariusunited.com to get some information. Both of those websites are available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Robert Maxxim, the author of the Legacy series. This is an interesting question. They all are. This one in particular, why are you here now in this present life? And then this is interesting. Are the radio appearances part of a plan for your life? We've been doing these for about 1.5 years now. Is this part of a master plan?
Oh, indeed. Radio, seminars, books, all appearances are opportunities to learn about myself and add positive corrections to several levels of my consciousness. My present conscious expression is one of many development stages or reincarnations on this plane, where I'm able to put physical experiences and lessons learned in between lives. I'm able to put them together and evolve progressively. Every incarnation is like a classroom. It's like a life. And you get to learn from what you experienced in previous lives and what you learned in between them. I know that I have done many appearances also in other past lives, and each time I'm sharing and expanding on what I have learned. So these opportunities that I have to share are basically a development process for things I have also done in the past.
Is everything you go through, is there a purpose when you're going through trials and tribulations and good parts of your life as well? Do you think, okay, there's a reason I'm going through this. There's a lesson here. There's a reason this is happening.
Absolutely. Not only have you planned your life out before incarnating, but you also have patterns from past lives that come in and interact all the time. So you're getting hit from both ends. Past influence, higher self knowledge coming in, and you're basically in the middle sorting it out. So absolutely, there's never a point of a standstill, and never such a thing really as an accident.
Robert Maxxim is our guest on the program. That's Maxxim. He's the author of the Legacy series. The Legacy series available at Amazon and all the usual places. A fascinating 5-episode series. You've got all of the elements that make it a great read. And in fact, it's autobiographical, which is even more interesting as you're reading the series. Information is available at Robert's website, which is rgaetan.com. And you can link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. At Robert's website and our website, there's a way that you can contact us. You can contact Robert and ask questions that we'll be talking about on the program. Another listener question coming says that what is actually meant by true science of life? I hear you talk about it. Exactly what are you talking about?
Well, we can say that the science of life is a universal scientific understanding of how interdimensional energy works, what it encompasses, what is composed of it. It's basically all things, including thoughts, matter, time, and space. It is the basis of life and reality. It is infinity and the intelligent creative force itself. It is the rule of life. It is the universal law which is observed and practiced by countless progressive planets. Best practices, one might say, the pulse of creation and the motive for being. There are, this will get into a lot more discussion points, but simply mentioned, what we know as the universe and its function is basically the consolidation of higher intelligence that has created this plane for our development experience. So when I mentioned that there are other planets that are practicing this law, it goes even beyond that. The law is not only universal, it is interdimensional, it is infinite. And this is the flow by which every progressive soul strives to go with. They don't try to go against the grain, they go with the flow of the infinite.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, and you're just basically working off the tip of the iceberg with this because there is so much good information there. That leads into the next question in regards to what comes after legacy. So once you get the basic information, I've listened to what you're talking about, I've read the Legacy series, I'm really interested in taking that next step, going a little bit further. They're asking, would studying Dr. Ernest Norman's works be the next step? Is that the logical progression as you're finding out more?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Dr. Norman's works were a critical, inspiring factor in the writing of Legacy. And as I found out, it is the ultimate study of the science of life on this planet. Dr. Norman is perhaps the clearest and most advanced channel that ever visited this world. And when you read his works or listen to his words, you're just blown away by the intelligence and the clarity and the power of what is being said there. Nothing else compares in detail, energy, and perfection. If you visit unariusunited.com, there you will find many of his works, and also you will also get to meet several students that have also had lessons learned from these teachings that evidence the same. And they explain their understanding of the science of life in their own words as well.
And that sort of ties into the next question. We obviously have a number of people that have watched and listened to your appearances who are interested in finding out more, again, taking that next step. The question is, I'm fascinated by your appearances and also overwhelmed, and I can understand that.
So am I.
Where can I find the information that will explain? Are there books that I should be reading? And can I find them at a public library? And you talked about Dr. Ernest Norman and Unarius United. Are there books? Where is a good place to go? Another resource to get information?
Well, Legacy and Dr. Norman's works are available around the world, online at Amazon, and also public libraries. And any library that does not have these books, they can also request them. Now, most of Dr. Norman's works are available in audio form and also electronic form at Unarius United. And there you can also become a student and interact with others that are also searching and learning. So we're there to basically come together and evolve, learning and sharing with one another.
How important was that the fact that you were able to communicate with others in your discovery process, that relationship, that community that you had? How important was that for you?
Oh, it was tremendous. After I had all these visions, Rick, and I think I said this before, I was literally thrown into the cookie category. You need to see somebody, and they even recommended some mentalists and what have you. It's like, these guys were just not connecting the dots until eventually I met some of these folks, and I began to see that what they were talking about is what I was talking about. What they knew is what I knew. What they had seen, I had seen. And it's like, well, fantastic. All right. And Dr. Norman's works indeed became a foundation for sorting out and helping to understand a lot of what I had gone through and helped explain it.
That makes so much sense, because if it's just you, you think you know what you think you know. You think you've seen what you saw the day before, the night before, 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But it's just you. When you get that reinforced that other people are telling you the same story, mm-hmm. that had to make you feel like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. This actually, I understand what's happening now.
That's correct. And as they say, proof is in the pudding. So when you're able to interact with all of these individuals, you get to challenge, shall we say, what you know, what you interpreted, and that also helps you correct. There are a lot of individuals that have experiences, that see and hear and experience things, but they may not have the background, the science of life background, and so they take off on this wrong channel. I shouldn't use the word wrong, but incomplete channel, shall we say. And as such, they may believe this and that. That even happened to me. But when you're able to bounce this off of other people, then you begin to realize, oh, that was correct. Oh, this needs some work. So we need one another. We need to be a brotherhood, and we need to share so that our evolution can be aided and can be promoted, especially.
Robert Maxxim, our guest in the program. That's Maxxim. The book series is called Legacy. You can get information at our website, or you can go to Robert's website, which is rgaetan, GAETAN.com. Back to questions. We're never going to get through all of these that we had today, but keep the questions coming in, because eventually we will get to these. What is really exciting and would be if it's possible, a good next step for a lot of people is the Conscious Life Expo, which is coming up in Los Angeles. I don't have my notes in front of me. I think at the LAX Hilton on February 10th through the 12th. You've got what is going to be probably a mind-blowing presentation. Really, if you just talk about that, and then we'll get back to the questions. But you've got some video that people have never seen before.
Oh, there are going to be videos. I've been working on this video now for months. I don't ever recall seeing a video, a live video production of what Atlantis and Lemuria looked like. Well, people are about to see it. So if you go, or if you go to my website as well after the convention, you'll be able to see that video. It's almost complete. I also would have shown a little bit of it here in the show, but people are just going to be blown out of their socks when they see this video.
And it's a 3-day, February 10th through 12th. You've got a number of featured speakers, including our guest, Robert Maxxim. It sounds like it's going to be really exciting if you're in a position that you're able to attend. It's at the LA X Hilton, so as you're flying in, you don't have to travel a whole lot. It's right there to catch some of this information, and we'll recap it and have some of the information when Robert's back with us. A few minutes left in the program. I want to pick up on this question because we've talked about this before. You've mentioned it before. The question is, you talk about ego. How do we make sure it is not out of control, and is ego the root of many problems?
Well, it can be. Ego is a part of you, so you shouldn't hide it or try to destroy it, but instead try to understand and teach it, bring it along. This is why we reincarnate, to come down to this mental level and help it along, evolve it up, teach it, develop it. Neutralize it, pair it up with something a little bit more positive. The ego is both a survival force and a choice in this dimension. It is part of a collection of past experiences and feelings that you've encountered over time. So you either come here to feed its demands or have it serve as lessons learned. Obeying the ego can lead us to repeat the past, or as I normally call it, do a past life rerun or a reboot.
Interesting.
Yeah, understanding what it is and biasing it with more positive purposes makes it a learning experience, and that's the control factor. Fear, offense, defense, those are all clear signs that the ego is there. So knowing precisely what you feel, why, and then your choice thereof is the control factor. And maybe I can give you a one-liner, and it would be, know thyself.
It's interesting and simple to remember. A very good premise for everyone. As you're talking about ego, and again, this is something that you've talked about struggling with as well. Give me an example of when you feel ego is a problem. And you can use an example in your life when you figure, okay, I really need to rein this in or to check this. How does ego work against us and become a problem?
Oh, I knew that was coming. Well, the ego shows its head up in many ways. And sometimes I may feel offended by something that somebody said. I may want to drive a point that I feel, oh, I just have to say this, or I've got to do this. Each of those emotional points, I have to stop and, first of all, listen clearly to it, understand, get that whole feeling recognized, and then realize what it is. So, Rick, I might want to, let's say that we're having dinner together, and let's say that this might not be a bad thing for you, but let's say that I insist on picking up the check.
Okay.
Now, you might not mind. But
have I said anything negative so far? That's fine. But do it after I get dessert.
All right. Well, there may be something positive behind that, but there may be something selfish behind that. I may be trying to show off to you. I may be trying to do a favor so that I can get a favor back. There may be a lot behind it. So even you have to you have to spend your life thinking about everything that you feel and you think that comes up. You can't just let it brush off and it's like, oh, it's too much to handle, or I'm too tired. No, you have to stay on top of your desires night in, night out, even through your dreams. This is the only way that you can come to understand how you are, what you are, and then be able to control it. Just don't act on everything that you feel. Step back, objectify it, and after you do that enough, then you begin to learn from it. Dr. Norman came up with a very nice system. And what he did is he created the self-improvement chart. And what he recommended was at the end of the day, just relax, sit down, and take a piece of paper, divide it in two. Left side is the good things. The right side is the bad things. So you begin to write, the good things. Before you know it, the bad things that you think happened to the day, you may need several books. Not just one page. It's just be huge. But this helps you objectify, teaches you to be objective. So as you're going through the day now, you no longer wait for nighttime. You may do it during lunch. You may do it at 3 p.m. The next day, you might do it at 10, at 11, at 12, at 1, at 2. Before you know it, you're doing it every second, every thought. And you're able then to start making some clear definitions. This desire of mine is not adequate from my perspective. It may be adequate to someone else, but for me, this is not something I want to do.
So you basically will do sort of a running assessment throughout the day. So if you find by 10:30 this is off the rails here today, you actually can change your behavior for that day.
That is correct. And the more you do that, the less force that desire will have. Rick, how many people are trying to stop smoking?
Many.
And they resort to drugs. They resort to all kinds of stuff. They resort to escape mechanisms. If I'm watching television, I don't get the craving, but the craving is still there. So imagine that you are objective. You get to the objective point, where you begin to think, why do I have this urge? Is it just chemicals in my body, or is it maybe a past incarnation where I was involved in burning things, or being exposed to the smell of burning? Is that what's driving me to smoke? Is that why I get this pleasure? You began to get profound into this problem. And before you know it, bingo, you realize precisely why first you gave yourself into this addiction, and now why you have the addiction. Why do you maintain it? Why do you want to keep it? And one such example is I had an experience at work. I am very allergic to smoke. And it was a physical condition. And they sat right next to me someone that smoked. I was not smoking in the office, but brought it in his clothes.
Yes.
I told the individual, please, I have this problem. Please just, back off a little bit. But this person would not listen. And one day he came right up to me. He had just smoked. And I wasn't prepared for it. I turned and I took a whip. That smoke came in, completely burned my throat all the way down. I started coughing and choking. I had to go home, and I spent a week in bed. But out of that, as I was going through this problem, Rick, I finally had a dream, and I saw myself tied up to a stake, and I was begging for my life. And I saw this individual. I guess I had said something to offend somebody, and they were going to burn me alive. And this individual came in with a torch. This was in Germany, and lit up the bottom part of the stake. And I started choking on the smoke fumes, and I was basically burnt alive. When I woke up in the morning and I realized that, I no longer had any smoke inhalation problems.
That is a fascinating story. I don't know how we top that, and we're not even going to try. That example is so vivid. It answers so many questions. So once you were able to resolve that problem by having it occur and then going back and finding out exactly the origination point of that.
And that's why we reincarnate, because we have to come face to face with these events. We have to relive them and correct them on the energy level that it occurred. That occurred in this dimension, so we have to come to this dimension to correct it. And by the way, the person that had that torch and set me on fire, guess who that was?
The person next to you at work? Okay, we tied that all together. That a little mystery on today's program, as well as, wow, some great information. If you have questions, and the next question we're going to start with, and I was looking forward to this, but time goes too quickly. Can you describe how spacecraft work? And you'll see some of that, I'm sure, in what you're doing with Atlantis, that will be in Los Angeles, the Conscious Life Expo, February 10th through the 12th. Information available at Robert's website. Now, it's Robert Maxxim, Maxxim. He's the author of the Legacy series, 5 episodes. Books available all across the country. Information, of course, by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. His website is argaetan, GAETAN.com. And Dr. Norman's website, a lot of great information there as well, is unariusunited.com. Robert, it is always a pleasure. Look forward to having you back. Safe travels to Los Angeles. I hope things go well there, and I'm really looking forward to getting stories from Los Angeles we'll talk about next time. And if you have any questions for Robert, you can contact Robert by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, or Robert's, which is argaetan, GAETAN.com. Robert, thank you as always, and we'll talk very soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
You're listening to This Week in America. All the information on today's program, Robert Maxxim, at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Stay tuned. Back in just a minute.